Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are having a good day and are doing well. Um, as for me, I can say, I'm doing decent. Um, can't really complain. Um, life's just kind of, you know, up and down, but same old, same old. Busy, I guess you can say, kind of in a good way, but also exhausting, tiring, and yeah, just taking day by day and just getting by. um, you know, I just wanted to talk about that. When I do these videos, I know it might seem like to others, and I know people tell me I shouldn't care about what people think, but you know, I just kind of look beyond that because I do anything in my power to, that I'm just gonna, live my life and do what I want to do. I mean, and I don't say that to do it like do anything bad or break rules or break laws or anything like that. I'm never that kind of person. You know, but you know, I put a lot of time and energy into this stuff that you know I don't expect everybody to really hear me out and take the time to kind of give me their you know um, attention. I mean, and you know, but in a way, I would like to be heard. I would like somebody to take their valuable time, which I appreciate, just to hear what I have to say. I mean, I don't know what other people like to listen to or find interesting and such. You know, I mean, I would at least think the things I talk about would be somewhat interesting, even if it's like most of the time um, like this might come off like very heavy and doesn't sound very like uplifting, you know, and I just kind of think like maybe just yeah, people don't really want to hear what I want to say and but and then I get into this comparison, which I hate to do, but it's like there are other people who will do these kind of videos like I do. Like, we'll talk about whatever they want to talk about. It could be like a statement about something. It could be, someone discussing about themselves um, or I mean themselves and like their feelings or what's on their mind and all these kind of things and I'm not like one to be jealous, but in a way it does like sadden me and frustrates me a bit that there are the people who will do this like what I'm doing right now, talking about you know what about their feelings or I'm talking about my feelings, but other people will get there to get all that attention and feedback and comfort, you know, but why does it feel like I don't? I I don't know what makes other people deserve more of that, you know, like just the need that it's like their needs are fulfilled, you know, but my needs aren't. And I mean, and this is one of the things that really brings me down a lot because, um, I know there are like people that struggle with loneliness and feel like they're alone, and I'm, you know, an example of that because I've been, you know, alone most of my life. And how I am alone is like not saying that I don't have people that care about me. I do have, some good number of friends that are very close to me that I've known for years, um, even some acquaintances, um, family and such cares about me, but what makes me feel alone is that, you know, I'm not spending a lot of time with a lot of people like I used to, um, whether it's friends or family. The traditions I used to experience or just time, bonds and such, they're just not the same. I don't have a lot of time on my hands like I used to because I'm always putting my time and energy into other things. Like most of it goes to my work, that I do just about every day of the week. And then on top of that, I'm always doing things before. And so I'm always on the go. I mean, that just just shows out I'm a very busy person, and I have to attend to that. I got to do my responsibilities as much as I really hate adulting. You know, I don't have a lot of time for fun and freedom and such. Like, I used to experience a lot of good times back then, and in the 2010s and even in the 2000s. And honestly, I'd say the best times of my life. Even if I had my troubles and such growing up as a kid, is that I miss my kid days. I miss you know, I miss that feeling of not worrying about me getting older, and I didn't think about it much, and I just, was out there with myself. I was always adventurous. I was always full of laughter and fun and being quirky and this and that, and I miss those days, and it's like, yeah, I mean, now I've grown up a lot and learned and matured, and I show that I'm a very responsible person, and I take my priorities and things like that very seriously, and I'm passionate about a lot of things that I do when it comes to work or lifestyle choices like surviving. And what can I say? I It's all good with that, but it's just I said this before, ever since the 2020s started, it's just I feel like it's just been a repetitive, just dragging on of like, you know, like for one, like I don't go to conventions anymore because I can't afford them, nor do I have time. And even if I were able to get the time, it's just I just can't. And there's just even with the things that I like to do that like, say like go to a local meet. I don't go to many local meets anymore. Um, and just a lot of it has to do with time, and also I'm just so worn out with all my adulting responsibilities and other things I take care of. It's just I'm trying to find time to re-energize, and it's like I've lost a lot of things throughout these years so far in the 2020s. Like I mentioned I had a close friend that I've known since 2012, a furry friend, and he passed away in 2021 of February. And then I knew some other people who kind of passed away that I wasn't really as close to, but I did know them. And then, people I used to be friends with and close with, like, have moved on. Most of my friends I used to hang out with back then either moved out of state or, or just, like, all of a sudden not in contact with me anymore. So, it's a really big loss. And, I I try to find that, push to like go out there and try to meet new people. But, it's kind of hard with, I guess, how my mind has developed, like, you know, and I guess with me being, like old school and like things I grew up with and such, it's really hard to find people that I can share, I guess, common interests with, like whether it's a hobby, whether it's something like, I grew up with, that we can share the same thing, like, I could talk like about a certain cartoon or video game or technology or whatever, like with somebody else that has experienced that same thing. And you know and that's what I used to experience with a lot of, old childhood school friends or whatsoever. And and I just don't feel like I get to do that anymore. And let alone like being in this furry sorry, furry hobby. um well, speaking of Furbies, I actually grew up with those. My gosh, I just can't. That's something to look back on. But the furry hobby. I've been a part of this fandom since, you know, um, I want to say like when I was still in high school, like almost finishing off my senior year, I came across, Fur Affinity by mistake. I was looking at a bunch of like, you know, dragon, anthropomorphic art. And see, I didn't know what anthropomorphic was at the time. Um, I would find all these like scaly like creatures, and because I had a big thing for dragons, I still do. Even though I'm mostly into wolves, but I like both. So, um, I found FA around 2011, and then I think I made an account on there, and then then I have another FA account that I created around 2013. So I have two FA accounts, but the first one is retired and I don't even use it anymore, but it still exists. Um, if anyone wants to know what that account was, I went by Mike011, I think. Yeah. Now I'm Dakota, you know. Well, I'm technically, so I'm a Fulf. My first one is a Fulf. But my FA started as Dakota the Fox, so I used to be a Fox. And then I changed and did all this. It's a long story. Um, but anyway, I've been in this fandom, so I I didn't really get active until pretty much about like a little after high school. So I'd say I've been in this fandom for like 12 years, and I'll be going on pretty much 13 starting next year. It's like, holy shit, like that's a long time. But I don't really want to count, the 2020s because, like I said, I'm not going to cons anymore. I don't go to many meets. I don't even feel like I am a furry that much anymore. I still like furry, for my own things. Like, I still browse around at, furry art or like fursuits and animations and such. I like it for my own things, Um, and, but yeah, I'm just not hanging out with people that much anymore. It just because it leads back to that, whenever I'd go to these meets or cons, I I I would like interact with some people and maybe hang out with them for a bit, but most of the time I just always found myself isolated. And sometimes I would find myself feeling like I'm kind of shunned from everybody, like, because there's a lot of people who have known me throughout the years, and in the 2010s when I was really, during my 20s, I went through a lot of hardships. I was going through like, when I got out of my crazy years of school, switching around different elementary schools and this and that, and never been able to go through a school system to like graduate with people that I knew when I was just like a baby or in like kindergarten, preschool, and elementary and all the way through, because I switched around a lot, and so a lot of other students and stuff in school would just kind of like look at me as like, oh, that like Michael guy is like he's a transfer, or he's he's like a stranger or unknown, and I was badly picked on a lot and badly just all these things, and I mean, I didn't really make friends until I got into middle school, and then kind of like throughout high school. But even though middle school and high school were the freaking worst, even elementary was worse too. And I generally would just like whenever I was in my school years, I would always just do my own thing. I did get into sports and such. I joined the tennis team in freshman year, and I was junior varsity pretty much for 3 years, and then finally got into varsity in my senior year. But I haven't played tennis in so long, and I do miss playing that sport. So it's been a long journey with that. So sports is what kept me going, because I was always big on athletics and health, which I still am. And lately nowadays, I mean, I do play some sports, but it's more like not like anything extreme, but sometimes I play disc golf, which I really love, and I used to play bowling a lot, and I haven't been to the lanes in a while, so that's something I really enjoy. And as far as trying to find like people that can share that with, I feel like I have a hard time with that, because there's just a lot of people nowadays that don't want to be athletic or play sports or do any of that. I feel like most people these days, either prefer to work out on their own or don't really want to work out at all, and um, are just into other activities, like like a lot of them are in all this technology, social media and such, and I just like, I like technology too. Like, I mean, I'm mostly, the thing I do is just browse on a computer, or I know basic stuff, like how certain programs work and such, and I mean, and um, growing up as a '90s kid, like I got to experience some of the older consoles, like like PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, and Dreamcast, and all that stuff, like with the AV cables, and the red, yellow, and white. So stuff like that. I mean, I got a taste of all these things at Advance, but my gosh, it's just so like, it's so different nowadays. Like, most people will spend their time pretty much on a computer or on their phone, and I could do that on my own time, but like when I'm around other people, I do not like to be on that. Because I grew up in a way where it's like, if I'm around people, I want to look at them directly. I want to be able to talk to them, and interact with them face to face. But I just feel like people just don't do that, and I feel like sometimes they lack the social skills, and and they always say like, oh, I'm shy, or I'm always anxious, and I'm like, dude, I face that too, okay? But you gotta, in order to overcome that, you gotta push yourself and come out of it. I mean, like, look, yes, I have been an introvert, probably my whole life, but I can revert to being an extrovert when I'm comfortable around people. Hence why I say I'm selective and reserved, because I'm not gonna hang around somebody that I know is not a good fit for me. I if I can't vibe with them or have anything, like maybe just a couple things in common, like just nothing in common, then there's no point in me being around that person. Um, you know, even if it's like, even if like, say they do have some things in common, but if their personality is shitty, like just toxic, like I don't want to vibe with that. I would not hang out with somebody who likes to talk down on others, who lies, who steals, who discriminates, and like is very dirty in a very joking way, and you know, and or gets on other things like, you know, I don't like getting into a lot of like intense politics, because it's just too much of a nutshell right now, or even with like some of their beliefs, like, you know, like I can respect a person's religion, but if it's like, you know, where people can't accept one another, I just don't want to vibe with that. You know, I'm a very, you know, easygoing and chill person, and you know, and I just try to, I strive for having more like fun and good times with other people and such, and you know, that's all I want to do is just live life. The way I live life to the fullest is just making memories and having a good time. But it's hard to do that with all this crap that's going on in the world, and I don't really want to get into it. I mean, you know, it's just been a mess. I mean, you know, it's like, yeah, politics is one thing, and I have different views on both sides, and you know, like pros and cons, and then there's the thing with the war going on in both Ukraine and then Israel, but I just, like I said, I don't want to get into that because that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to discuss that it's like, you know, I'm putting my valuable time into this video in hopes that there is somebody, or maybe more, that people can really like, you know, maybe kind of take this seriously and hear me out and give me a chance, like, you know, others are given a chance. You know, I mean, I don't know what it takes. I mean, because I get the impression, like, I feel like a lot of people just don't care anymore and just, you know, don't want to hear me out. You know, I mean, look, I get it. I've burnt a lot of bridges back then. I've stressed everybody out. I've angered them. I've said things that I wish I didn't say, and I wish I could take a lot of that back. And you know, I feel bad for how I used to act when I would get very angry and lash out and go on vents or rants. Sorry, this get a little hyperventilating when I talk a lot. But it's like, you know, guys, I I what do I really need to prove? I mean, people tell me I shouldn't prove anything or explain myself and just live my life and be who I am. But like I said, this has gone on for so long that I'm tired of sitting here each day, like in hopes of something good that comes out of this. Like, you know, I know people might say like, well, I need to make the effort and such. It's like, okay, well, I used to do that a lot. I used to make a lot of effort. I mean, I used to, you know, when I was younger, in my early 20s and even teenagehood, I'd always call up a friend. Like, I'd take out my old phone book, and this is before cell phones like had where you could save contacts and such. No, I mean, gets interesting. And I don't know where that phone book is, but I have a phone book, or had, that I would write all my friends' phone numbers down that I knew for years, and I'd call them up each weekend after I'd get out of school and say, hey, do you want to hang out? You know, like, you want to come over? And you know, I had some good times with that, and you know, and nowadays I feel like it's not like that anymore. It's so complicated where, yeah, it's just like everybody's online, just about. And you know, I have so many contacts in my phone that most of these, like, I'd say like 98% of those contacts I don't even like use, whether it's people I know in the furry fandom or even outside of it. There is one contact that I use the most out of for a friend, is a friend I've known since middle school. Or and then there's like two others, you know, like one furry friend and the other two are non-furry. So I talk to like three people the most. And then all the other people, it's like, you know, I hear from them once in a while, you know. Like I have Telegram, for instance. And, you know, there's so many contacts on there, but it's like, I can't keep up with Telegram. I left a lot of chats because there's like so many people in the chat that you type something out and it does get read, but then it's skimmed over. Like there's all this trafficking going on in these chats that I feel like my message easily gets missed or other people's messages get missed. And the only way for someone to reply to you or give like an emoji, like a thumbs up or whatever, is if they gravitate towards that and have that interest towards you. You know, and I mean, that's nice and all, but at the same time, like, I don't like it because, you know, a like or, you know, heart can only go so far and do so much very little. I would rather have someone call me and talk to me verbally. And there's only three people that do that, and no one else does. Hardly ever. You know, maybe sometimes, yes, there are some people that have sent me voice messages, and I'd send voice messages back, and that's great. But, you know, it's like no one is hating. Okay, I want to say, let me just say this. Aside from my friends, my non furry friends, and you know, who do hang out with me, you know, they do hang out with me a lot. Maybe not every day of the weekend, but we do hang out. And, you know, so I wish people in the furry fandom can do that with me. I mean, aside from people who live out of state and are not local, I can't blame you for that. But the people who are local, I've, I mean, I used to have people over. I used to have furry gatherings at my apartment here, and you know, and it was like for like holiday events or anything. It was fun, and I just wish I could experience that again. I don't. The last time I had a furry friend over here was when she used to live down here in California, and she would come over a lot. But now she lives in Oregon, and I just, you know, I don't get to see her anymore. And actually, she was visiting here like a couple months ago, and it was a nice little reunion. And but yeah, there's no one locally in the furry fandom that like calls me up and say, hey, let's hang out, you know, and meet up. But in a way, I think they have said that before. But you know, I feel like I just made like an excuse, like, you know, it's like, oh man, I'm sorry, you know, I got something else going on, or I'm tired, and you know, and like, because I mean, yeah, I make plans quick, and you know, um, with the very little time I have. But, um, you know, I just wish I could have a furry friend over. You know, like, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm in this furry fandom, is mostly to socialize and possibly make some friends and just have some good times. You know, I mean, uh, as far as like, you know, the culture of furry, like, you know, like, I may not be as strongly, you know, like active about it like other people are who get to go to cons a lot and meets a lot, and or you know, have the money to invest in like fursuits and or fursuit a lot. I just don't do that, you know. I mean, let alone, I mean, I do have a fursuit, but I don't. It doesn't even fit me anymore. And you know, I thought about getting another fursuit, but you know, it's a very expensive thing to invest in, especially how pricey suits are nowadays, and even pricey with going to cons. So it's like, you know, I can't afford that. And you know, another thing that kind of like makes me not want a fursuit that much either, I hate to say this, is that I feel like, you know, the suit or even artwork is what makes other people like feel drawn to you. Like, you know, like I don't feel valued as a real person. I feel like I'm just valued for my character, or or status or material possession. That's what I feel like sometimes. You know, people give me more thumbs up or other whatever kind of emoji reaction they want to give. Like if I upload a short video or a picture of me in my suit or even have an artwork, it gets more reaction. And it's like, that's nice, but what about me as a person? I feel like, you know, and this is the truth, that I feel like a lot of furries don't like the human look. They think humans are like, you know, like, you know, and it's kind of sad because, you know, I just don't feel like I'm valued as a human being. And, you know, it even saddens me when I see other people really don't like their human selves. And it's like, you know, you should learn to love yourself no matter what. Who you are and how you're born as, you should love yourself for that. You know, and I am sorry I speak freely. I mean, you know, I'm a Christian, and you know, God made us the way He wanted to make us. You know, and how we live our life on this planet is how we live. You know, and that's fine. But I mean, gosh, you know, nobody should shun themselves. You just love for who you are. And I know there's some people that are that way, that do love themselves, but you know, there's some people out there that try so hard to be someone or something else that they're not. And you know, like I know there's some furries that want to, like, they wish so hard that they can be their fursona and be like a real, like, living anthro or feral or whatever the heck it is, you know. And I'm like, I mean, I respect that, but it also makes me kind of turn the other, like roll an eye, like okay, like, you know, it's a little like strange to me, you know. If I, you know, if it were possible that I can be my fursona, I would kind of be a little, like, you know, worried about that. Like, it would be kind of a little odd to me. Like, I'd be like, whoa, you know, I'm this totally different thing, and it might be cool, but you know, I don't know. It's complicated. Like, I mean, I think, I just don't know if I could sit with that. You know, it would take a lot to adjust to. Like, I'm not one to try so hard to change who I am. You know, I mean, I'd only change something if I know, like, if it was hurting me, like affecting my mental and physical health, then by all means I would change. Like, if something is wrong for myself. But I don't want to change. Like, I'm gonna just be who I am. You know, a character that I have or a material possession or anything does not define who I am. Nor does my sexuality define who I am. You know, so that's what I'm basically saying. So, you know, I I don't know where I'm going with this, guys. I mean, like I said, this has gone on for a long time. I'm even tired of it myself. I'm so tired of, like, just putting my time and energy into this stuff. I like to speak and talk about things, but sometimes I feel like there's something holding me back, and I think it's a reminder, like, you know, it's really not worth the time and energy to keep on talking about, you know, things on how I feel and such, because I feel like it's just always going, you know, past other people's heads. Like, you know, it's like it doesn't matter to them. Like, or like some people just don't know what to say, and you know, and just kind of ignore what I'm talking about, and that's where it just, like, it does bring me down. That's where my depression comes from, mostly. And the depression mostly is because you know, mostly because I do find myself kind of, like, really lonely, and you know, there's, like, I'm not seeing anybody, I'm not hanging out with anybody, and you know, and this is just in the furry fandom. Like I said, I'm not worried about my life outside of the fandom, because I do got a friend or two that I can talk to and hang out with when I do. It's pretty good with that. But the furry fandom is not. And, you know, I'm doing everything I can to try and, you know, build more sustainable friendships, and that are very true and meaningful to me, because I'm about true friendship. I'm about real friendship. I don't want to surround myself with fake people that, just don't value you. If I know someone doesn't value me, for who I am and such, and can't appreciate me as a person, or appreciate my friendship, or appreciate me as a person overall, then I don't need that. You know, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices in my life, and without giving people warning that, that it's like, you know, I'm not going to explain my reasons as why I don't hang out with that person anymore, and I mean, there have been moments where I found myself in very ugly situations before that, um, that I've had people, I had to tell them, like, I say, I don't think this is working out, and they would, like, get very, instead of handling it maturely and coming to, like, an understanding, seeing eye to eye, that it's like, hey, it's just not meant to be. But there would be people that get so mad and say, like, what do you mean it's not working out, like, challenge me, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to get into a fight with this, and then I'm forced to say, like, well, it's not working out because you and I don't have anything in common. With you do things differently, you do this, you do that, and and then I do things that you don't like, and it's just, it gets into this very stressful, heated situation, and I just, like, I don't want that fucking drama, dude. I I I gotta go with what my heart tells me and my gut feeling, and that's what I'm doing. Is like, but people just, like, just can't seem to handle things and accept things, that they just challenge everything. They don't want anybody else to be themselves. It's like some of them expect the other person to be completely like them. If I knew someone was completely like me, I would not like that. I'm sorry. Even if I had a clone of myself, I couldn't tolerate it, because one person is enough, and that's the truth, So anyway, so well, I'm almost into 38 minutes of this, and it's just like, once again, I took time. I wanted to reach out to everybody, and just say, this is how I'm feeling. I can't, expect something magical to happen out of this. Like, thinking, like, oh, people are all of a sudden going to be my friend now after this, or whatever. I mean, it doesn't. I don't feel like it works that way. It's just, I'm just here speaking my thoughts out, and I'm telling it like it is. I'm not here to play the sad, story or fiddle or anything like that. I'm just saying, this is what I'm going through, and I feel like I'm going to be going through this for probably, like, the rest of my life. And I'm not saying my life is completely miserable or all that bad. I feel like my life is pretty good. I look at it this way, that I'm alive. I'm not facing a war zone. I am not homeless. I am not, like, poor. I have, a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in, shelter, place to go clean myself. I have a good, decent job. I'm living pretty good. I really cannot complain. But yeah, the only thing I can really mostly complain about is that, like, hey, and I'm saying this as, like, a wish, I just wish I had, more time to enjoy my life and have fun and make memories with friends or other people, and I'm doing something about that. I'm not sitting here sulking and saying, like, oh, woe is me, like, I mean, I might have done that before, but I'm trying to do something about it. Believe me, I have. I'm doing what I can with what I'm working with right now, and a lot of it has to do with is I'm making changes in my life. I'm in the process of, like, looking for a possible a different job, career, and and it's just a lot of things. But I guess for one thing I can ask for is out of this whole thing is I would like people to give me a chance. Just like, just um, just something like I don't mind if we maybe go get a bite to eat or whatsoever. I mean, and look, and I don't want to say this respectfully. Um, like I said, when I meet someone new, it is very hard for me like to adapt to that. I like to take my time. I don't like to jump on things. I don't want to rush. So, if I come off like at first like kind of quiet and such, please don't take it personally. Just know that I'm taking my time, okay? Ugh. So, yeah. Anyway, I thank you all for whoever sat through this entire 41-minute video to listen to hear me out. I really appreciate you and value you. That means everything, just hearing me out, you know. Um, so, yeah, and I just want to leave this again. For those who have known me for quite a while or many years, I will keep on saying until it sits with you. I am sorry for everything from before. Okay, how I acted, how I was. I am not the same person anymore. Okay, I completely forgive myself, and is aware of how I was. I didn't mean it. You know, and I'm not saying this like I didn't get violent with anybody or anything like that. Maybe I said things verbally, but hey, I'm not really that bad of a person. I feel like deep down I am a good person, but I know there are things that I can improve on more, and yeah, I just all I ask is for a fair chance. And like I said, I mean, I may not be able to get a lot of old friendships back, because like I said, there are some people who have either passed on or moved away and I don't connect with anymore. But if it is possible to connect with more people, then cool. And we'll just have to figure out how to really, how am I going to communicate with one another? And then yeah, I just have to see. Um, you know, I would like to do a phone call sometimes. I'll even do a video chat. I just recently downloaded that Zoom app or whatsoever. So yeah, we'll do that. Anyway, that's it, everybody. Do take care. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your holidays and finishing off this year. So, yeah, alright. Take care.